Greetings, fellow action figure connoisseurs, and welcome to another episode of Digital Caveman Presents Marvel Monday. I, as always, am your host, the Digital Caveman, and today I will be presenting you with the Marvel Legends series, The Amazing Spider-Man, as featured in Spider-Man No Way Home. Let's get into it! Let's start things off with a look at the packaging. And here we have the assortment number 4 and up, The Amazing Spider-Man 2 instead of No Way Home. So that makes me wonder if this is the suit that he wore in No Way Home, or if they just had to brand it this way because of likeness or rights or something like that. But anyway, that's how it listed. And he was in No Way Home. And then here we have just some Amazing Spider-Man artwork. Marvel Legends series, The Amazing Spider-Man Hasbro print. Warning! Don't stick things in your pie hole that do not belong there. Then on the back side, here we have Amazing Spider-Man 2 artwork. Marvel Legends series, The Amazing Spider-Man. No matter what evil rises, the Amazing Spider-Man will summon the courage to defeat it. For with great power comes great responsibility. And then there it is again in some other languages. Warning, attention, Achtung! Don't stick things in your pie hole that do not belong there. Don't give it to babies. Recycled stuff. Attention! Especially don't stick it in your French pie hole. A symbol I'm not going to learn. Small, fine, legalese print, made in China print. Symbols I'm not going to learn. A barcode. Some more fine print. Marvel print. Hasbro print. And that, my friends, completes our look at the packaging. Let's take a look at the figure and his accessories. And here we have handy dandy tweezers. And let's start with the extra set of hands first. One of them is a weird pointy wall crawling hand. And looks like it's molded in red plastic, and they have some nice fine line detail work there for the black on the webbing. And I have to say it looks pretty good. And it's on an in and out hinge. The other hand is a fist, and same thing I just said about the other hand applies. In and out hinge. Nice molded detail. You can see the fabric printed in there now. And then nice fine line work for the web, and I'm sure that's some type of printing technology that they're using to get that and not hand painted. Same thing holds true for the head. You can see the fabricness of the mask, and then the web lines, and the web lines are painted on there nice and cleanly, it looks like. And then we have a nice, it looks like almost mirrored, but not quite. It's a dull silver paint app for the eye lenses, maybe almost white. It's a silvery white, to me at least. I'm colorblind. I make fun of handicapped people. And then some black paint app around the edge of the lens, and there is a little bit of slop on it, but it's not too bad. And I know you guys know I don't normally cover the MCU stuff. I think the last ones I covered was Multiverse of Madness. But I found all 3 of these guys from No Way Home at the local GameStop. And since I passed on the 3-pack and this had the alternate heads in it, I decided to go ahead and pick this up because I really like the way these heads look. Now, I will say this about this head sculpt. This one is my least favorite, and I think it's because I think the hair is just too big. He's got too much hair, and maybe that's just me not remembering correctly from the movie, but I think the face itself, I really think that looks good, and it has nice paint apps on it that gives it a realistic look for a Marvel Legends. Now, yes, it is a bit shiny still, but when you don't look at the hair, I think the likeness is pretty good, and then you put the hair on it, and then it just kind of throws it off. Again, I just think there's too much hair there in the sculpt, and I don't know how to fix that. Can't really cut it off. I know the hair is probably a separate piece that's glued on there, so I don't know, we'll see. But I really wish they'd have done this with less volume to the hair, I suppose. But as far as the rest of the figure goes, again, nice black line work for the web on the suit, and it does look pretty good. And then, you know, you've got that nice detail of the fabric that they use on all the Spider-Man suits, it seems like. And then the nice super long leg spider for the chest logo, and then again on the back, but in red rather than black. And then at the boots, mine's got a little bit of a paint blemish or glue or something here stuck on it, and so just something to watch out for. And again, you know, everything I said about the web lines, it holds true here, except for that one little blemish there, even down to his little toesies. Now let's take a look at his articulation. He can look up that far. He looks down slightly. He does have a little bit of chicken neck. He's got a lot of waggle, and it's on that dumbbell. Unfortunately, the neck is not a separate piece. He can do the full Exorcist. At the shoulder, he's got butterfly, and it goes back, at least I can get mine back that far and forward that far. And he can raise his arm well past 90 degrees, so that's pretty good. 360 degree rotation there at the shoulder. Cut at the upper bicep for another 360 degree rotation. Double hinged pinless elbow, and gives you that much bend. He's got thwip hands on the figure as he comes out the box. 360 degree rotation at the wrist on in and out hinges, and same on the other side as well. It's got a cut here at the mid torso, and it gives him hula. He can lean left and right. He can lean back that far with it. He can lean forward that far with it. It works better in conjunction with the reverse ab hinge here. And he does have a 360 degree rotation at this cut. Now the ab hinge, he can lean forward that far, and in conjunction with the other cut, gives him a little bit extra. As far as leaning back, he's going to have back problems like Tobey Maguire if he keeps doing this. And that's just the ab hinge, and with its mid-torso cut, it gives him slightly more. Now at the hips, and I guess an exciting development, at least for me, it's an exciting development. And even though it's not much, he does have a slight pull-down hinge here in the hip, and it does help a little bit with the articulation. With that engaged, he can give you that much of the splits with a little bit of outswing, as you can see there. He can give you, you know, you kick forward that far. Back, it doesn't really help him much, about a half a step maybe. Cut here at the upper thigh for a 360 degree rotation. Double hinged pinless knee, so that's a pretty good feature, and it gives you that much bend. And then at the ankle, tilts down that far, tilts up that far. Forward facing pin for rocker. And no, there is no cut at the mid shin, so no boot cut. Now as far as the masked head goes, you can pull Andrew's head off, and you can see it's on that dumbbell joint. And I bet I'll have to do it off camera. I might have to heat this up even a little bit. It does not want to go on there right, and it's bending that dumbbell peg a little bit. Alright there, I didn't have to heat it up. I did get it on there. It did give a like a soft snap. So it looks really good on this body, at least I think. He can look up that far with this head and down just slightly. Well, if you adjust the head a little bit, he can look down like that. And he does still have a little bit of chicken neck and a little bit of waggle, and of course, the full Exorcist. Well, that, my friends, does it for a look at the Amazing Spider-Man. It's time for my favorite part of a review, comparisons. And here we have all three of this wave's Spider-Men: Andrew Garfield, Tom Holland, and Tobey Maguire. Here we have the Marvel Legends series, Amazing Spider-Man 2 / No Way Home, Andrew Garfield, Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man, with Hasbro's Amazing Spider-Man figures, the Lizard, and the Amazing Spider-Man in his costume from that movie. And you can see the proportions for that Spider-Man are really, really bad. In fact, I can't stand that uniform at all. For our final set of comparisons, here we have the Marvel Legends series, Amazing Spider-Man 2, Andrew Garfield head Spider-Man, but I'm guessing he's also from No Way Home. With our final Marvel Legend comparison, making his cameo appearance, Stan the Man Lee. From G.I. Joe Classified series, the Hasbro Pulse exclusive Regal variant Cobra Commander. From Star Wars The Black series, the Archive Edition 501st Legion Clone Trooper. And for a 7-inch scale comparison from Masters of the Universe Masterverse line, the 40th Anniversary He-Man. For final thoughts on the Marvel Legends series, Amazing Spider-Man 2 / Spider-Man No Way Home, Andrew Garfield, Amazing Spider-Man, I have to say, I really, really like this figure. I think it's really the best version that Hasbro has produced of this movie's universe of Spider-Man. And I do think the facial likeness is right on, and it's thrown off a bit by the volume of the hair. And that's always been one of my big issues with Garfield's portrayal of Peter Parker. At least, is, you know, he just has too much volume in his hair. It makes it look like he's got too much hair. And to me, it makes the likeness, it throws it off just a bit. Now, again, the sculpt is just fine. The paint on it is just fine. It's just, I don't know, maybe if they had done smaller hair, less volume hair, or I don't know, maybe a wash in it would have helped. I'm not really sure what else, you know, could have been done, because I know he has big hair in the movies, you know, so there is that. Now, I do think Hasbro owes not only an apology, but 3 unmasked heads to everybody who bought that No Way Home 3-pack, and then, you know, just a few months later turned around and released carded figures with the unmasked heads. And I'm sure, you know, it probably had something to do with likeness rights. And, you know, rather than holding that 3-pack back until they could get the rights to do all 3 of the unmasked heads, you know, I really think that not only do they owe people an apology, but they owe them 3 unmasked heads. And that's just my feelings on it. Now, as far as this one goes, again, the decos on it are nice. I think it's a really, really nice looking version of the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man from Amazing Spider-Man 2, and by extension, I suppose, No Way Home. I don't know if there was a rights issue as to why they had to list his card as Amazing Spider-Man 2 rather than No Way Home. Yeah, I'm not an expert on that kind of stuff as to, you know, their rights management over likenesses and whatnot. But they did finally do it, and again, it's a really good job on the skull. It's just the hair, kind of, it throws this one off for me, because if you know, put your thumb over the hair where you can't really see it, you know, the likeness is really, really good. And from certain angles, even with the hair, the likeness is really, really good. And, you know, I'm glad. I don't normally buy MCU figures, but when I saw all 3 of the Spider-Men from No Way Home, and I really, really liked that movie, and I saw 3 of them at the local GameStop, I decided, yeah, you know, I'm gonna go ahead and get them because these alternate heads look really, really good. And, you know, I would just like a really good representation of those versions of Spider-Man. Because the only Garfield Spider-Man that I have is from the first Amazing Spider-Man movie, and it's really, really bad. The proportions are really sucky, and the sculpt, the colors, and I don't really like that version of the Spider-Man costume. I was so glad when in Amazing Spider-Man 2 they changed it to a more, I guess, appropriate. In my opinion, it was more appropriate than the one from the first movie. Now the Lizard, I have the Lizard also, which you saw in the comparison section, and, you know, he's not a bad figure. He's okay. But that Spider-Man was really, really bad. So I'm glad I have a Garfield Spider-Man and an unmasked head to go along with it. Well, that does it for the review. I hope that you enjoyed it. I enjoyed making it. Only support from viewers like you make this programming possible. Each view does count, and I do appreciate each and every single view that I receive. Thank you, and thank you so very, very much for supporting this channel through viewing. Comment below, like, share, subscribe if you'd like to see more reviews or just help the channel out further, or both, that's even better. And don't forget to ding that bell so that in the future you will be notified as my new content becomes available. That's a wrap, folks. I'll see you next time.